And now let me welcome on to the A10 Insider Podcast, St. Joe's head coach Billy Lange, fresh off of a win over American and a win over Villanova in the Finn. Billy, what's going on, man? It's a 7-2 start to the season. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good, Rob. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm always good, man. I'm always good.
That's
So
great.
you guys are sitting here 7-2, tied for the best record in the Atlantic 10 today. You have the best win in the Atlantic 10 today. You have probably the most impressive performance in the Atlantic 10 going into Rupp Arena and taking Kentucky to overtime. I knew you guys had a chance to be really good this year. Did you expect, is this what you expected out of your group?
Oh man, any coach that would tell you they're expecting anything is usually misleading you. You always think, I mean, every year I think every coach, well, let me speak for myself. Every year I start with the most hopeful and optimistic lens I can, and it's quickly doused by reality, and I believe this team could be good because of the character of the guys. I just know that we're relying on a lot of young talent. I've been impressed with our competitiveness thus far. So it's a little bit of a yes and no answer for me on that question.
So when you guys, when you have this 4-guard lineup that you're rolling out here, I said this the other day on After Dark. I think you guys are as entertaining to watch as anybody in the country, because when you have 4 guards that can just kind of go out there and do everything, that's the kind of basketball that I enjoy watching. Is it as fun to coach this group as it is to watch?
By entertaining, that means you have no idea what's going to happen. That's what makes it entertaining.
Yes, exactly.
Let's just be honest. That's not by design. A lot of the game we're playing a combination of Essendoko and Simmons, or Classic and Fleming and Finkley, and those guys have logged good minutes for us. There's just a moment in the game sometimes where you feel like you got to give the opponent something that maybe they'll have a hard time figuring out what to do. And that's helped us. The other part of it is Greer, Brown, and Reynolds all have the most experience, and so you got to have some experience on the floor. And Fleming has been really good for us early. And then Xavier Brown gives us an additional ball handler. So it hasn't been by design. It kind of happened by accident a little bit. And, we like it. So we'll stay with it. I'm glad you're entertained.
You've coached a lot of high-level guards in your career at all the levels that you've been at. Where does Erik Reynolds rank among that? Like, maybe not just, he was like the 4th best guard I've ever I mean, he could play anywhere in the country right now, I think. And I think he's probably got a future at some point playing at the next level.
He does. I think we talked about this maybe at A10 Media Day.
Mm-hmm.
What makes Erik exceptional, in my opinion, is his listening skills. We talk all this stuff about player development. It won't matter if the guy can't listen. And so I've coached 3 great listeners in my life. Ryan Arcidiacono when I was at Villanova, Jeremy Grant when I was with the 76ers. And I put Erik at that level. And what I mean by that is, like, you tell him something and like he immediately goes and does it. So his ability to like make eye contact, listen, process, and then not need hundreds of reps or reminders is on an elite level. Where he ranks amongst Randy Foy and Alan Ray and TJ McConnell and those guys that I've had an opportunity to coach. I don't really get caught up in that, but I do agree with you. He's got a chance to have a long professional career. And in addition to his jump shot and his quick twitch, it'll come down to the intentionality of how he tries to learn.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, the listening skills. Can I get my children to come hang out with them and get a seminar on how to be a good listener?
I'll bring mine as well. All right, we'll have them together.
That's what we struggle with in the Dosser household too. Yeah. I think my favorite thing about him is that here's a guy that came back to school, right? He came back to, and not just to school, he came back to St. Joe's, and he's playing on a team with a lot of familiar faces. And he averaged 19 points a game last year, and he's not putting up those same stats. It's not the same counting numbers. It's not the same, I think that stuff matters to guys that are going to be on draft boards, right? And it doesn't seem like he really cares all that much about, I got to get my shots, I got to get my points, I got to put up these numbers, I got to be better than I was last year, because you guys are winning, right? Yeah. Is it like that from the inside? Because that's what appears from the outside.
Well, yeah, I mean, a few things on statistics. He's shooting the highest he has from 3 over a 9-game stretch in his entire career. He's above 40%. He's shooting his highest from the field. He's above 42%. In our last 3 games, he's had 13 assists and 0 turnovers. He had 6 defensive rebounds last night. He's an 85+% free throw shooter. At the end of last season, and I've just been fortunate the 6 years that I spent in the NBA, I developed what I would call real relationships. There are people that I can call that I know are going to tell me that exactly what is the truth. And so I shared a lot of it with Erik. I don't hide it from him. I literally showed him the emails and the text messages and put together the presentation. And none of it came down to like how many points he scores. It's how strong he gets. Does he show more prowess on the defensive end? Is he more efficient? Does he make better decisions as a guy below the free throw line with the dribble? Can he pop up off the floor quicker on his catch and shoot jump shot? None of that some games it might lead to 26 points or 28, what he had at Kentucky, or 20 some what he had at Villanova, or it could lead to 13 or 14 like he had last night. And he's so pure in spirit that I think he's caught up in the right stuff, not the wrong stuff.
Yeah, it's one of those things where he's going to do the right things when you guys are winning, but sometimes when you're going up against a team that maybe has, frankly, a little bit more talent, he's going to go out there and he's got to make some plays.
That's right.
It's picking the spots, right?
That's right. That's right.
All right. So the other thing is that you get Cam Brown back, fifth-year guy, been at St. Joe's all 5 years. You got Erik Reynolds, third-year player, all at St. Joe's. You got Lange back, second season at St. Joe's. Continuity in the portal era, as I like to call it, is so important. So when you have a good end to the season, you can carry that over into next season. How has that impacted what you guys are this year?
Yeah, it helps. And I think, most coaches would say we like continuity if the continuity is good. Those guys are good players, so we want to have them. I did an interview earlier today. A lot of the questions was about the transfer portal. And I just don't think that what it is for one school is necessarily going to be what it is for another school. And that's okay. It's what makes everyone different. I just believe at St. Joe's, we have to have continuity if we want anything that's sustainable. The ability to do things over and over again with a restart with personnel, I just don't think it aligns with our institution. And it doesn't align truly with like what we're trying to do culturally, both on and off the court. Someone else will have to do that here. That's not me. So to have good players be back is everything, not just to us on the court, but just to be an ambassador for our institution.
All right, I want to talk about a couple of your freshmen that hopefully will be those pieces that carry that level of continuity over the next few years for you guys. Xavier Brown, Philly kid, looks like the real deal.
Yeah, he's a terrific person. First, I joke with him all the time, like, we're playing Villanova. There's like a minute 15 left. I mean, he probably thinks the game's over. I don't. He comes up to me, but he bumps me. He's like, "Yo, did you see me do what you were showing me on film?" I'm like, "Yo, can you just get back on defense?" He has such a joy to him, and it really is infectious to the rest of our guys. That joy just leads to an incredible swagger. He's a throwback. He's a point guard, and now he can score as well, but he's a classic point guard. He's a Philadelphia point guard. They just don't make them like this anymore. And he's a great teammate as well. So, he's as good as I thought he was, but he's playing better earlier than I thought he would too. I'm pleasantly surprised.
Christ Esendoko missed the free throw at Kentucky. For a freshman, that can be something that gets stuck in your head, right? We had a chance to win. It was me, blah, blah, all that. How have you helped him kind of work through that?
Yeah, I mean, if you know him, you know that he, one, has great confidence, but two, he wears those opportunities because he doesn't want to let his teammates down. I mean, for Christ, he hasn't been healthy. He sustained a turf toe injury against Manhattan in an exhibition game, and then re-aggravated again against Sacred Heart, inbounding the ball of all things. And so he hasn't really been healthy since our scrimmage against Providence, in which he was terrific. He was really, really good. So we haven't even really seen him yet. In terms of live competition, how good he is. I just think in these moments, like a Kentucky game, this is why he's here. Like he came here to be a great player and be in those moments. And sometimes you're going to fail and sometimes you're going to succeed. But he was a big impact in that game for sure.
Injuring your toe inbounding a ball sounds like the kind of thing that I would do if I tried to play basketball.
Well, the turf toe is such a freak thing. And what I've learned is that someone with his size, when he twists on it, it's 2,000 pounds of force. Mm-hmm. So when you step to make an inbounds pass real fast, it's an injury. I don't know if you and I would have 2,000 pounds of force. And, we just got to get him healthy. And that's why he's out right now, because we would be dealing with this literally all year. And it's unfair to him and it's unfair to our team because he's such a big piece of our vision here, particularly on offense because of the way he plays, that if he's in and out, we don't get to grow, so we better off getting him healthy, and then we'll get him back, and hopefully it'll be soon.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about pounds of force until I get the rest of that Thanksgiving weight back
There
off.
you go, man. Me and you both, brother.
So, can you tell me a little bit about why this St. Joe's Villanova rivalry is so intense for the people that own it? You've experienced it from both sides. So, what is it? What is it about those two programs, those two universities, where it kind of stands out in a city where like the Big Five matters in Philly? And then you have, to me, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have that one rivalry that kind of stands above both of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's deemed or dubbed or whatever the word would be, the Holy War. There are a few things. I'll just hit you with the three ones that I think are the most. Number one, our institutions are split by like literally two roads. You go right down City Ave, you make a right on Lancaster, you shoot straight down there, and it's right there on your right hand side. 3.5, 4 miles apart. That'd be number one. Number two, and Villanova's university profile has expanded quite a bit over the last 2 decades. It's more national, but at one point it was more parochial and regional. So you would have families that would have, aunts went to St. Joe's, uncles went to Villanova. My sister goes to Villanova. My brother went here. And like, it's literally splitting households in this provincial parochial area here. And then, back in the day when the Big Five was just starting, the best players were going to Villanova and St. Joe's. Holistically, I'm saying. I'm not saying all together. I'm just saying holistically, when you look at just pure numbers, certainly LaSalle and Temple had their share, but like that's where they were. So it was dubbed that way. I mean, it's since changed because Villanova's profile to me now is more on the level of a Carolina or Duke, but that rivalry and what it means institutionally, I don't think will ever go away.
Yeah, I think it matters when you guys are on par, when you're able to go in there and beat them in the Fin. And, it actually is a little bit of a full circle moment, right? The last time St. Joe's got an upset like that, you were on the other bench.
I know. I was there. Yeah.
Jameer Nelson.
I don't know if that wasn't an upset. They had Jameer Nelson and Delonte
West
and Pat Carroll and Dwayne Jones and John Bryan. I got to name everybody. Chet Stakaitis, Tyrone Barley, Dwayne Lee, Dave Mallon. If I forgot anybody, they'll let me know. They had a heck of a team, and Coach Martelli led them masterfully with a great staff that he had. I was there. That team was awesome. They were awesome.
How good were they? Because I don't think people listening right now will realize how good that group was.
There hasn't been a team in the last 2 decades that was seismically better or even incrementally better. Like they're on par with whoever you want to mention that's won national champion. Like they were great. I mean, when you just go straight to like the numbers, they had 3 NBA players, that had careers, Jameer, Delonte, and Dwayne Jones. Dwayne Jones was the defensive player of the year in the Atlantic 10. The next year, Pat Carroll was the Atlantic 10 player of the year. They were awesome. They had every piece. They were athletic. They were skilled. They played 4 guards. They played 2 bigs. They knew their roles. They were unbelievable. Like that night we played them, Jameer was, by Jameer's standards, just okay. But we had no chance because Delonte was great. And so they were just a really good basketball team. They were fun to watch.
You've been in and around the Big Five in Philly for your entire coaching career. Or for the majority of your coaching career, what makes the Big Five special? Like, how does this kind of set apart from other cities? Because I don't think people outside Philly really kind of understand like what this is.
Yeah, I think that 2 things. Number one, like a New York or other cities like Chicago, we are a sports city. I mean, those other ones are too, but we have no distractions here. Like it's a sports city. We don't have Broadway. We don't have the politics of DC. We don't have Hollywood. We have the Jersey Shore, which is a great distraction. But when it comes to like the winter, this is what it is. And you're driven so much by the Flyers, the Phillies, the Eagles, and the 76ers. I've said this a lot. The Big Five, in my opinion, is like the 5th professional sports franchise of this city, and it garners so much attention. And that's what makes it good. And then the other thing is like, we're committed to it. There are a lot of other cities that have colleges that are within 8 or 10 miles of each other that could do something similarly. But the tradition of the Big Five and the way that people have maintained a level of commitment to it at all these institutions and in our media and the fan base is what makes it very unique.
Yeah, you mentioned sports fandom. I told the story on last week's pod. We had Fran Dunphy on. My son I live in Mount Laurel now. My son is diehard Philly sports, everything. Yeah. And one of my best friends growing up is a Bills fan. And so after they beat the Bills game, he wanted me to record a video. He was wearing his Jalen Hurts jersey and said, "Hey, Justin, I bet that lost," and then turn around and did the thumb thing on the name on the back. Like, that's Philly fandom right there. That's what it is.
Great. That's great. And I grew up in South Jersey as well. So, you know, when we talk about Philadelphia to a lot of other people that don't understand is it expands, you know, it goes into Delaware, it goes over the Walt Whitman Bridge or the Ben Franklin Bridge into, you know, a good part of South Jersey. And you really just have this, you know, this community of people that are just loyal. I mean, sometimes we're crazy, but it's a good crazy. You know, it's just passionate. I mean, that's what it is.
What is it about Philly where the Philly guys never leave, right? You look at Fran Dunphy, you look at Herb McGee, you look at Jay Wright. I mean, you've been right around this area, haven't been that far away for basically your entire the majority of your coaching career. What is it about the city that just keeps people here?
Cheesesteaks and soft pretzels. You can't get them anywhere else. I remember when I moved to New York for 2 years coaching at a Division III school up there, the United States Merchant Marine Academy. It had like there was a deli and it said like cheesesteak, and I ordered it. It was awful. I mean, but New York has a ton of great food, but that was the worst. You know, I think there is a simplicity to this area, you know, and having been in the NBA, you know, you mentioned I've been in other places. So I lived 2 years in New York and 7 years in Annapolis, Maryland. It's not quite traveling overseas, but I was away. But I think, you know, when I got to visit 29 other cities extensively in 6 years with the NBA, I just learned there's a family feel to our area, you know, and I don't know if it's like this anywhere else. People stay, families stay, like it's comfort, and it's a good comfort. It's not a complacent comfort. It's this is home for so many people. And then you throw on things like we've got seasons here, and like you have a whole season of driving down to the shore. You know, you can go to Ocean City or Ventnor or you know, Avalon, whatever floats your boat, Sea Isle City. And like a lot of people have to jump on planes and travel to get to beaches, and we can drive 75 minutes and experience the same thing for 5 good months. And so you throw all those things in, but I do think it's the sports part too. Like when you grow up around here and you follow these teams as passionately as we do, and you're now experiencing it, they become such great memories for you that you don't want to leave it. And there are so many other great places, and I travel other places to get away every once in a while. But when it all comes back to here, man, this is a special place to live.
All right, let's circle this back to basketball, back to the A10, back to St. Joe's. Last question I got for you, and it's kind of broad. So I think the A10 is wide open this year. I think that there are like 5 or 6 teams that could probably win it. If we look up in late February and St. Joe's is right there, first place, a game out of first place, competing for an A10 regular season title, what's the most important thing that has to happen for your group to be able to be in that position?
I would say 2 things. One is the most obvious is health. And because we've experienced the other side of it, I know how important it is. You know, I thought we were on track last year to finish in the top 4 and then Obina and Classic go out, and it just fell apart. And then we gathered it back at the end of the season. So I recognize all that. You know, when guys like Malachi go down at Dayton, like these are hurtful moments for our teams in our league. So I say that's number 1. I think number 2, it's the growth of our younger players. Like we're going to need them. You know, Simmons and Finkley and Brown and even Fleming to a degree and Essendoko. These guys are all going to have to get better as the season goes on. As great as Brown is and Lynn and obviously Erik and Casper, we're young. We're still playing freshmen and sophomores, and so we need them to grow up. They're going to have to be ready to compete in these games that'll likely lead for the seeding. Our league is terrific. We don't get enough attention, so I thank you so much for what you do. I wish people would want to challenge the A10. You know, everybody ducks that. Why? I don't know. And I say that to answer your question is we're going to have to be really good 1 through 10 by the time we get there. We're not going to be able to do this with 3 guys. Our league's just too good.
Yeah, you want to know why people don't challenge the A10? Because they got teams going into Rupp Arena and nearly winning. They got teams going into the Finn and picking up W's.
Yeah, well, that's I'm glad that we can add to that, but we need to do it. Our league is good. We're more than a 1-bid league. I don't think we're a mid-major league. I don't like the way people label us because they can't figure out who we are. Just play us, you know. And so we've got great coaches. We've got great players in this conference, first off and foremost. And you're right. The fact that there could be 5 or 6 teams that win it, and I'm sure of those 5 or 6 that you have in your mind, there's going to be 2 or 3 other ones by the time late January rolls around where it now becomes 7 or 8.
Yep, it's just one of those conferences that it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to follow. You know, we're going to be watching you. You know, be rooting for you. Last one I got for you. The Eagles going to win the Super Bowl this year?
Absolutely.
Billy, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Take care, man.